musical car. Hi, this is Jeff's musical car in Moncton, and this week my guest is Sarah McInnis. Thanks for coming along.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
So it's been a crazy ride for you for the past couple of weeks. I've been watching your social media and super busy, but great project you're involved in. Can you tell me a bit about this project?
Sure. So for the starting at the beginning of June, we've been touring a project called the Legacy Song Project Atlantic Chapter. So I started the Legacy Song Project in 2021, where I interview people who are at end of life and people who have lost loved ones, and then I write and record a personal song for them based on the stories that I hear. So I've been doing that since, I think, April 2021. And as I started doing this, I kind of was, thinking about ways to make it more accessible for people, how to get the word out. And so I applied for funding to do this sub-branch, which is called the Atlantic Chapter. And that involves 8 Atlantic Canadians, 4 who are at end of life, and 4 who've lost loved ones. And the special thing about this sub-branch is that we were able to film the whole thing, so we created a short documentary of the whole process.
Oh, wow. So what are your initial thoughts from doing this? Was there some things maybe about it that surprised you, some reactions from either the participants or their families? Like, tell me a bit about how your experience has been.
Yeah, I think I definitely would say this songwriting in this way has really pushed my boundaries as a songwriter, as a professional who's been organizing, facilitating this whole project and planning it and, putting in all that time and effort with all those details. But then also personally, and I would even say spiritually, it's influenced me in some pretty big ways. I think having meeting a stranger, I mean, you do this all the time when you interview people. You're yeah, I do this too. But meeting a person you've never met before and getting pretty real pretty fast is it's quite amazing, actually. I'm always quite humbled by what people are willing to share with me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, oftentimes, I don't know, just this whole project in general, I feel like it's been quite humbling, and it really does feel like a privilege. And that always sounds really kind of cheesy to say, or I say it a lot, but I feel like it's because it's true. Is that people are sharing their hardest moments with me, their hardest days. They found out they got a cancer diagnosis, or their loved one died, and they're reliving those moments with me. And yeah, it's very special to witness.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe some of that is based on the fact that people get uncomfortable or uneasy, and maybe they tiptoe, and maybe the people that have these diagnoses, they want to talk about it, but people are too scared to bring it up, thinking it's I don't want to go there. And then when they have the opportunity to kind of share their feelings, they open up and they're okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. That's why I think the people that have found this project and taken part in it, that's something that I hear from them is Sarah came into our house, and that's why she was there. She was there to listen. And so often people, whether they're experiencing grief for the first time, they've lost a loved one, or they're anticipating a loss, or themselves, they might have a diagnosis, people are so scared to upset them. Mm-hmm. But more often than not, people want to be asked because they want the room. And if we don't ask people, they're probably not going to bring it up. Because you see people's reactions when you talk about death or grief, people kind of immediately tense up, or I get asked that a lot, how do you do that? Yeah. And I'm well, because I had my own experience with losing a loved one and experiencing firsthand that people suck kind of at making room for these types of conversations.
So let's get right into the music. I know
people suck, people don't suck, people can be great, but
people suck, people are good. There's a bit of
when
everything.
It comes to talking about hard things, sometimes we do suck as a society.
It's true.
Yeah.
So tell me about the song you chose to play for me. I see you brought the good old ukulele.
I brought a little ukulele. So this song is called The Other Side. there's four of the participants who were at end of life, and during the making of this project, 2 of those participants died. Both of those participants were able to hear their songs before they died, which I'm really thankful for. So this song is called The Other Side, and it's for a participant named Anna Maria Wagner. I interviewed her in Timberlea, Nova Scotia, and I wanted to play this song today because I love how this work also touches on like really mystical, mysterious things and experiences that people can have. So Anna Maria had been a translator. She grew up in the former Yugoslavia, and she had been a translator her whole life. She spoke so many different languages, and she was facing a terminal cancer diagnosis. But during her lifetime, she had experienced a near-death experience where she had crossed over to what she called the other side. And she told me about that, and she had a really beautiful way of speaking about that experience. And so when I wrote her song, I wanted to kind of capture that mysticism.
Yeah.
But what I loved, a way that she talked about it, she's like, I had this experience, and I know other people that have had near-death experiences. She said, I could only get so far, though, before I had to come back to my body. So she's like, even though I experienced that, this really crazy, vivid, beautiful thing, there was only so far I could go. And so even for myself, who's crossed over to the other side for a moment, like, I only could know so much about it before I had to come back. So I named the song The Other Side.
Appropriately.
And so this is called The Other Side. Saw the other side, from the other side, greeted by her dog on a bridge up high, watching wisps of colored light, prayers rising out of the dark night. Can't go far enough to know what it's about. Planted 2 oaks outside her house, tucking sage in pillowcases, border crossing misinformation. Sunlight through trees blaze behind her eyes. She could see the moon from the other side. Bridges she built with words alone, phrases that saved transitions to new homes. To the cosmic flow. What's meant for you now will reach you somehow. find you. What's meant for you now will reach you somehow, it will find you. What's meant for you now will reach you somehow, it will find you. What's meant for you now will reach you somehow, it will find you. Seeing grassy fields in glassy eyes, you made it to the other side. I'll be with you when the time is right.
Wow, beautiful song.
Thank you.
You definitely captured someone's legacy in music, and I'm sure the family appreciates having the song that will live forever with them.
Yeah, I hope so. I think that's the neat thing about this project is that the song lives on, and family members also get the whole interview, so they have that to listen back to for years to come and to pass on for generations to come, really, which I think is really
Yeah,
cool.
that's great. Well, thanks so much for doing this project. I have a brother that's going through end of life, and it's definitely a hard process for family, for friends, and
Yeah.
I definitely believe in what you're doing, and it's an important thing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jeff.